The tools that we implemented for teamwork were regular staff meetings, which is simply the process of everyone getting on the same page. Listening and feedback based on expertise. Their words were worth something and did make a difference. Ownership of the program, which developed from them being able to make a difference, them having prerogatives, them having a say in how the program was conducted. Training and development, that is developing and establishing a learning organization. And rewards. Now, rewards are very important because they are one of the consequences of good behavior, good performance, ultimately a satisfactory conveyance of products and services to the public. Such as conferences, rewards such as prerogatives that the teachers and the supervisors had certain liberties within their own unit to make changes, to make differences, as long as it didn't violate company policy. Flexibility, if they had a need, a family issue, that we would work with them and be flexible and allow them that extra opportunity to take care of personal situations. And compensation, which would be fairly recompensing them for the responsibilities, the accountabilities that they had taken on. Now, after 14 months at this Greenville school, the staff had, without my understanding or without my knowing it prior to this, had a celebration. And they were going to celebrate the fact that they had come so far. And they thanked me, and I thanked them, because none of us could have done it alone. But in all of that 14 months, we had become more efficient, we had become more team-oriented, and we had a more sustainable culture because the culture had been built from the bottom up. Now, in relation to working as a team, I currently work at the Council on Aging in the nutrition program, one of my duties, and I work with the commissary who prepares the meals and site managers who receive them every day. And I have organized, arranged a meeting between the two groups, and it will be a walk and a mile in their shoes moment in which they can communicate both sides of the same process and become comfortable knowing what each other goes through and working more closely together with each other to make sure the process works well. The third thing that Sandra brought out was that she wanted this to be the best daycare ever. Now, employees who are just watching the clock, just putting in time, and that there's no greater purpose, it's more than just putting in time. It's more than just doing something. So a leader must be able to inspire his employees, his workers, his staff, his professionals, that what they're doing impacts other parts of the process, impacts other people in substantial ways. Now, in Greenville at the school, there had been, as I said, no leadership for several months, many months, and with very little support from the administrative office, which was distracted in other areas. Work became just a parade of activities in which the staff and the teachers became no more than spectators. In order to have the best daycare we could possibly have in that area, I followed the principles from the path-goal theory, the first one of which is clearing roadblocks, addressing the leadership issue among the supervisors. Now, just because the person became a supervisor did not mean that they knew how to supervise. So with coaching and mentoring and with some educational opportunities, they began to understand what it is that being a supervisor is not just being the boss. Learning how to motivate and how to generate excitement, enthusiasm, and new ideas. Address the work environment issues. That is, if there was a need in a work unit and we did not satisfy that need, then we no longer were credible to them. We no longer were relevant in terms of making that place the best place it could be. So it was important to respond to the needs that each unit had. There was also a lack of continuity in policies and procedures, as I had mentioned. And so it was important that we eliminate these roadblocks which were in the way to us being successful. The second thing in the path-goal theory, under the idea of us having the best daycare, was that we had better parent, child, or customer skills. Working better with them as partners and working to see that we could meet needs that they had, providing an environment in which they could be free to say, this is my concern. Educational opportunities such as school, such as staff meetings, such as other seminars, meetings in the local community that would be helpful to our staff to be better at what they do. Developing a curriculum that would be showing them the opportunity to develop and build their own custom curriculum for their unit. Strategic planning on my part, creating the frame in which all of the parts of the program would fit well. And material needs. Rewards is the third part of the path goal theory, and in this regard, compensation for supervisors, I had mentioned, a differential pay that is based on the fact they were taking on responsibilities as supervisors. Compensation for work is based on performance. Feedback, that is having the staff assess situations, and also we, on the other end, meeting those needs as we saw them. Greater confidence in the position that they were holding. Amazing what education and training and development can do for an individual. They became more successful in counseling those with whom they worked, whether it be peers or parents or children. And they began to exude that understanding and that knowledge, that energy that comes from, I know what I'm doing. I had a teacher come in one time and just explain to me a situation in which they had tried something new that had been presented to them, and they were just overwhelmed just about that it had worked. And the last thing that Sandra brought up was looking forward to working with you. Now, work is ultimately reduced to a series of relationships that is designed to create or fulfill a dream. And no matter what the work environment is, it may be a very technical work environment, it may be just harvesting in the fields. But in any work environment, it ultimately becomes a work that is intensely human. And it is this which caused me to be very interested in the human resources side of business. Because as I had been a director of a couple of schools, the first one, I was amazed at how when you conduct a credible human resources program, that it not only energizes the staff, but it enhances the reputation, which embellishes the bottom line. And for that reason, I decided at that point in time that that's where I wanted to be, is in human resources management. Now, I believe in servant leadership. That is, that the pyramid, in the case of support, should be turned upside down. And that leaders become supporters, they become cheerleaders, they become coaches and mentors, those that provide what needed materials or supports are needed for people to do the job right. I believe in ethical leadership, which I believe brings respect, and respect in turn brings loyalty. In retrospect, when the staff at Greenville realized that they were more than babysitters, but rather that they were actually professionals, everything began to change. They represented now the school. They actually were the school. They also were the reputation. And they set the tone among the stakeholders, whether it be a parent, or whether it be a child, whether it be a peer in the school, whether it be the board of directors. And as they emerged from this sarcophagus of change, they realized, in the bright light of day, that they had become more professional. They performed on a much higher level than they had ever performed on before. And so I felt very satisfied as an HR professional that I had been a part of that kind of success. And I believe those four principles that Sandra alluded to in her letter, in her note, of the success that we can have in business. The first being, make things go better and more efficiently, which is continuous learning and improvement. Our willingness to work as a team, that is collaboration, networking, partnering, and having respect for one another. Having the best daycare around, that is having a vision and a mission, and all of us, to some extent, being change agents. And the last thing, looking forward to working with you, that every work environment is intensely human. And I thank you for your time.